Very good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Sanket Charkha from Sinhagar Institute, Savitribai Phule, Pune University. We have started with the third and the fourth chapter of economics, that is economic analysis of business decision. And the subject we are dealing with is the third chapter of supply and market equilibrium. A short, quick overview of what we have seen in the last lecture. We have seen the meaning and definition of supply, what are the various different determinants of supply, the law of supply, assumptions of the supply, and so on. Further, we have seen what is the concept or meaning of individual supply and the market supply, the supply curve wherein it is always an upward sloping, wherein if the price of a commodity increases, the quantity supplied also increases simultaneously. Reasons as to why supply curves slope upwards and what are the various exceptions to the law of supply. Then we have understood, or we have seen what are the various different types of market structure. In terms of market structure, they are basically or majorly classified into two categories. The first is the perfect market and second is the imperfect market. The imperfect market is again further divided into four types, that is monopoly, monopolistic, oligopoly, and duopoly. Determinants of market structure, that is based on the number of and nature of sellers, number and nature of buyers, nature of product, entry and exit conditions, and lastly the economies of scale. Basis of classification of markets. And first we have seen what is the perfect competitive market, a place where there is a complete absence of rivalry among both the buyers and the sellers. So in this case, if there is no rivalry, if there is absence of all these considerations, then and both the buyers and sellers are having freedom for the entry and exit, then the market structure is called as a perfect market, competitive market. Features of perfect competition: large number of buyers and sellers, homogeneous product, failure entry and exit, perfect knowledge, absence of transportation cost, perfect mobility, no artificial restrictions, and absence of selling cost. Then we have seen what is the determination of how do we determine the price under perfect competition market with respect to total market demand and total market supply, wherein the seller is the price taker and not the price maker. Then we have seen what is the meaning of monopoly, wherein a single firm is selling a commodity for which there is no close substitute. So a single seller is ruling the entire market economy. Features of the monopoly market: single seller, restricted entry, homogeneous product, control on prices, price discrimination, scope for the merger, price elasticity, lack of innovation, and lack of competition. Then sources of monopoly also we have dealt in detail with respect to economies of scale, product differentiation, absolute cost advantage, capital requirement, control over the input, legal restrictions, and lastly the strategic barriers. Again, as we have seen the equilibrium or the price determination under the perfect competition, in the same way you have to determine, or we have to identify what is the point of equilibrium or how do we determine the price and output in terms of monopoly market. In terms of monopoly market, it has been identified or ascertained with the help of supernormal profit, normal profit, and minimum amount of losses prices under the long run. So monopoly market is a market consideration wherein more majorly consideration is applicable for the long run perspective and not the short run perspectives. Then price determination under monopoly, that is wherein if there are different prices, if there are different buyers, if there are different products, and if there are different markets. So based on these certain considerations, the price under the monopoly market can be determined, it can be ascertained. Monopolistic competition is a market structure where there are large number of small sellers selling differentiated but close substitute products. So here in case of monopoly, there was only one single seller, but in case of monopolistic competition, there are long number of small sellers. So small sellers are there into applicable, but they are in large numbers. So and what is the differentiation? That is, the product is quite differentiated, but it does not have a close substitute. So the people may get a certain option, but that option is also very limited, and each and every product is different from each other. So many firms are into existence, and each and every product is differentiated products. Then features of monopoly with respect to large number of sellers, product differentiation, free entry and exit, independent behavior, product group, selling cost, non-price competition, and control over the prices. Then we have seen advantages and disadvantages of monopoly, price and output determination under monopolistic competition with respect to short run of firm, short run of industry, short run of firm, and long run of industry. So all the perspectives with respect to the firm and industry and how it is getting impacted in the short run and how it gets impacted in the long run, both the factors or characteristics we have dealt with. We have also understood, we have seen what is the concept of oligopoly. Oligopoly is a market situation wherein there are a small number of firms, wherein each and every firm is always interdependent on each other. So if there is a greater dependence of deal on or if there is a greater consideration of interdependence between the firm to firm, then we can say, or we can identify that the market situation that is existing is a concept of oligopoly market. Homogeneous or differentiated products. Now here in this case, in case of an oligopoly market, the product may be same or the product may be different also. So a particular product, whenever if you want to purchase a certain commodity, you may get different types of substitutes also. And if you go for a better quality or better advanced or standardization of that particular product, then accordingly the advanced or standardized product can also be made available for you. mutual dependence. At some point of time there may be mutual dependence between the parties, or at some point of time there may not be the mutual dependence between the parties. So here in this case the monopoly competition supports to all the factors, that is it is beneficial to all the participants of the economy, whether it is a buyer, whether it is a seller, whether it is an industry, whether it is a firm. All the participants of the monopoly market are getting benefited, and advantages are large in terms of monopoly market. Now features of oligopoly, sorry, we are dealing with oligopoly market. So features of oligopoly, first thing, interdependence. So each and every firm is interdependent on each other. Advertisement and selling cost, group behavior, indeterminate demand curve, few sellers, effective market efforts, competition and combination, differentiated products, and small number of large firms. We have dealt with the features of oligopoly also. Advantages, disadvantages, and kinked demand curve, price and output determination. Okay, I need to show you a diagram with respect to a kinked demand curve. Just a minute, I'll start my mobile. So what is the meaning of kinked demand curve? We'll see it diagrammatically. The original demand curve is always in a fashion of a downward sloping, but after a point of time, in terms of an oligopoly market, the demand curve gets a certain kinked, and accordingly it loses down its proposition, or it loses down its acquisition. So after several point of time, the demand curve is not in a regular position, it is not a downward sloping, but it moves in a kinked position. So how is that kinked position? I'll show you in the diagram. Just hold on. KINKED. Kinked demand curve. Few minutes. Can you see the screen properly?
Yes, sir.
I'm drawing the kinked demand curve. This is my y-axis, this is the x-axis, 0. Drawing the kinked demand curve in respect of a red line. How is demand curve? Can anyone explain? Can anyone tell?
Downward sloping.
Downward sloping. So in this way, the demand curve is always a downward sloping. Now, after a point of time, what happens? Whether the market situation changes in terms of an oligopoly market, what happens? The demand curve gets a certain point of time wherein it gets kinked, and a certain price level which is not accepted by a certain commodity. Now, what is the concept of demand? That is, if the price decreases, or if the price decreases, accordingly the amount of quantity demanded increases. But in case of a certain consideration, now here understand, for example, 50, 40, 30, 20 and 10. So this is price and this is quantity. Quantity demanded 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. So here at the price of rupees 50, the quantity demanded is 2. At the price of rupees 40, the quantity demanded is 4. At the price of rupees 3, the quantity demanded is 6. At the price of rupees 20, the quantity demanded is 8. And at the price of rupees 10, the quantity demanded is 10. So in this way, we have the we have a normal demand curve. Now, in case of an oligopoly market, what happened? Whatever may be the situation, whatever may be the changes, the amount of quantity demanded, now what we are speaking of specifically, the amount of quantity demanded remains same. whether the price increases, whether the price decreases, whether the amount, whatever is the change in the terms of price consideration. For example, a certain commodity of daily essential or the basic essential requirements. Now, if a particular person or if a particular family or if a particular consumer, if he daily needs 1 liter of milk or 2 liters or 5 liters of milk, his consumption will not change whatever may be the price. Whether the price of milk increases, whether the price of milk decreases, the prices such as daily consumable articles such as vegetable and fast moving consumer goods, all for all these particular consideration, what happen if the product prices increases or decreases, there is no impact on this particular commodity, and accordingly the entire market quantity that is demanded, it remains same. So what will be the situation? Now here your demand curve will start in this particular fashion. I'm drawing on the same. Now assume there is no increase or decrease in demand. The demand curve is same, but I'm drawing with the blue marker. So you will be able to understand what is the differentiation between the king to demand curve. Now here in this case, the demand curve will move in this particular fashion. And after a point of time, supposing we have identified that as per the law that has been provided by Marshall with respect to the demand curve, the consumer demand curve will move from the price of rupees 60 to rupees 50. From rupees 50, it will move towards 40, and further the quantity demanded will not increase. Here at this stage, a particular price which is stable in the market consideration, the price remains the same, and hence the quantity demanded does not change. So if there is a continuous decrease in the prices also, still what happened, the consumer will not change its demand, it remains the same. So in this particular fashion, the demand curve will always move in a downward fashion. So which is your new demand curve? This is the new demand curve which is drawn with the blue marker, which specifically shows or which specifically identifies about whatever there is a change in the market price. Now for example, the milk that has been required, whether the price of milk now for a particular family, that is take example, that is Mr. Arora. Mr. Arora is a particular family in which in this particular family there is one father, one mother, one girl child and one boy child. So in this particular family, what happened? The number of members of this particular family are 4, and daily requirement of their milk for this particular family is 2 liters. Now over a span or over a period of time, their daily consumption, if it is 2 liters, whatever may be the changes in the price level, that is whether the price increases, whether the price decreases, there is no impact on the quantity that is demanded. So daily, if their requirement is basically that is 2 liters, they will consume the same amount of quantity of milk whatever is been required. So here in this case, now identify a certain situation, that is if the market situation increases or decreases with respect to the price as a major consideration, what happens, the quantity demanded remains same, that is 4 liter, that is quantity of 4 or quantity of 2, whatever is the example that we are taking for. Now here, what the law of demand says, the law of demand says that if the price decreases, now here it is perfectly applicable, that is from 60 the price is reduced to 50, from 50 the price is reduced to 40. But as per the application of law of demand, if the price further reduces, that is if the price moves from 40 to 50, 40 to 30, now understand this particular portion, the portion of this parameter. So if the price is moving from rupees 40 to rupees 30, then what we should be the ideal consideration? Ideally, the quantity demanded must also increase in the same proportion, in the same fashion. That is, it must be either 4.5, 4.6, 5, 5.6 or 6, whatever it may be. So, but in the consideration of a certain consideration, which is of an oligopoly market, wherein there are large number of sellers, large number of buyers, it is a small market, and there are a lot many number of substitutes available for you. For example, take now in consideration in Pune market, we have different types of product that are applicable. Now in terms of milk, you may purchase Amul milk, you may purchase Chitle milk, you may purchase Katraj milk, you may purchase Gokul milk. There are n number of vendors available for you. If the product price commodity changes, if the price of the particular product commodity changes, accordingly what we'll do, the consumer will switch their consumption, but their quantity remains the same. So here there are different types of participants. One participant is providing the prices rupees 50, one other participant is providing prices rupees 40, other is providing at 35, and so on. But what happens at a several stage, the quantity that has been demanded by a market consideration, that is, for example, one family, 10 families, 100 families, 1000 families, 2 lakh people, and so on. So for all these particular consideration, the quantity that is demanded, that is 4 lakhs of liters or whatever the amount of milk that is required for daily purpose, it remains the same, it does not changes. So in this case, whatever, now here you can see the demand curve is moving in a kinked position. Earlier it was according to the law of demand, but after a certain point of time wherein the standard price of a particular commodity has been accepted, and here this particular price is acceptable to all the people into the market, and below this particular price, if this particular consideration, if the price moves or it falls down, there will be no change in the quantity demanded. The quantity demanded remains same. So here in this case, the demand curve moves in a downward position, but in a kinked position or in a kinked level. Should I move it, rub it, or I'll draw a good diagram, fair diagram for you? Just a minute, wherein it will be very clear and visible for you. Y-axis, x-axis, your normal demand curve and your kinked demand curve. Kinked demand curve comes in the same fashion, but after a stage or after a price that has been set, it moves to a downward position. So this is the concept of kinked demand curve. Yes, any difficulty at this stage? Any questions for anyone? Would you like to ask in understanding the diagram? 0, y-axis, x-axis. Yes, anyone? Or do we move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I am rubbing this. Okay, going ahead, we were on the topic of advantages, disadvantages, king demand curve, and price and output determination. So that was the concept of determining how we identify the price and how do we identify the output. So price and output determination, which was a certain consideration wherein on the y-axis you are having price and on the x-axis you are having the output. So accordingly, at a certain position or at a certain level, the output remains, the output keeps on increasing. That is the amount of quantity that has been demanded. It moves from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and so on. In the same way or in the same fashion, the price was also reducing from a certain consideration of 50, 40, 45, 34 and so on. But accordingly, at a certain stage or a point of time, when the price was rupees 40 or when the price is rupees 30, the demand curve moves in a kinked position. Collusive oligopoly form of a group. So it is a particular form of a group wherein there are a large number of buyers and sellers are applicable, and they merge or they come together for providing the better quality of product and commodity to the consumers. So now here you have another example which is called as a cartel, or which is wherein you spell it as a CARTEL or KARTEL. Now, in this consideration, what happened? The centralized market system is into existence, wherein the large number of wholesale purchases are into existence, and they try to distribute or supply the commodity to the respective consumers. So, in this case, in a particular fashion, wherein if large number of manufacturers, large number of distributors or sellers are applicable, and they are providing the goods and services or commodities to the different people, then those particular consideration is called as an cartel. Now, example for this particular cartel is Amazon, Alibaba, Flipkart, Snapdeal, and so on, wherein they purchase a certain commodity in bulk or in a wholesale quantity, and they distribute as per the need and requirement of individual customers. So as and when the customer demands either one quantity, 5 quantity, 10 quantities, they purchase the bulk or a wholesale in a from the manufacturers and distribute to the different vendors or different suppliers according to their need and requirement. In case of market sharing, we have Flipkart, Snapdeal, Amazon, Myntra, and so on. So in this case, there are various different types of vendors also. Centralized, now centralized a particular concern wherein it is working on the global level, and market sharing, that is, it is working on a specific market level for purchasing, selling of goods and commodities. Imperfect collusion. Now here in this case, where all the situations have been perfectly managed, it has been considered an effective position. That consideration can be called as an collusive oligopoly, wherein all are working together in a perfect competitive market. But if the market conditions are not favorable, if the market conditions are not suitable, then the condition can be called as an imperfect collusion, wherein there is no proper coordination between the firms about which product has to be sold, where it has to be sold, how the goods has to be distributed, and how a balanced growth of economy is to be undertaken. So that is the consideration of the imperfect collusion. Now, okay, any difficulty or any questions with respect to oligopoly? Or you can type the questions in the chat box also. We have concluded the topic of oligopoly. Now we are moving towards the next topic, that is duopoly. Any one of you having any questions, you can please unmute yourself and ask me. No one? Shilpa, do we move ahead? Okay, no questions. Duopoly. So duopoly, it is a particular market constitution wherein there are two firms wherein they operate in both. That is, it is a market situation wherein there is a perfect combination between the perfect market and the imperfect market. So duopoly is a particular constitution wherein now major characteristics of market, what we have seen, that either a market can be a perfect market or the market can be an imperfect market. So a combination of both these factors wherein there are large number of buyers and sellers, also there are large number of traders, special type of commodities, goods and services have been provided, but a market situation wherein only single firm or very few number of firms are ruling or regulating or controlling the market economy, then that market economy is called as an duopoly market. So only two firms are there into the market, but they have equal competition or equal number of buyers and sellers into existence. So wherein they operate in both the market or both the market conditions. The market conditions is favorable, which is a perfect competitive market, and the market is also unfavorable, which is called as an imperfect market, wherein either there can be a monopoly, either there can be an oligopoly, or either there can be a monopolistic competition existence at both the places. So here in this case, large segmented. Now here, the firm that has been established in terms of duopoly market is a large segmented product or a large segmented market, wherein the presence of the firm is for a wholesale purchase or a retail purchase, but the number of consumers that they are coming for this particular commodity purchase are in large number. Now, for example, take example of DMart, Vijay Sales, and so on, wherein what they are doing, they are purchasing or they are selling in wholesale quantity as well as in retail quantity also, and their presence is applicable at all the states, all the countries, and all the states or all the districts level, wherein wherever you feel, in whichever city you feel, they have the presence into the market economy. The consumer, if he feels, they can be ruling, they can be working as a monopoly market consideration also, or they can work in a perfect market competition also. So a particular type of example or particular type of store wherein both the firms are operating therein, wherein the combination of two or more firms are coming together and they are consideration in market situation of a perfect and imperfect market conditions, then that market condition is called as an duopoly market. Better utilization. Now what they are looking for, their major aim or objective is to take into consideration optimum utilization of all the resources. So in order to save the time, in order to save the resources, in order to save the commodity value, pricing, and so on, these particular market constitutions have come together. They have established a marketplace where all the types of commodity are available to a customer under one roof. So for benefit of the economy, for benefit of the consumers, for benefit of the people at large, so that all the goods and services are made applicable in a one single platform, the market has been established, and that market is called as an duopoly market. Advantages, features, and disadvantages. You can refer the theoretical perspectives with respect to the duopoly, wherein you have already the notes available with you. So with respect to the theoretical perspectives, I have suggested you various reference books. You can go to the reference books, and accordingly you can find out what are the various advantages and disadvantages or the features of duopoly market. Market role or structure. So here in this case, it is completely unorganized, or sometimes it can be an organized market, unorganized market. It is a combination of both, that is a perfect competitive market and an imperfect competitive market. There are large number of buyers and there are a large number of sellers also, but there is a single seller who can contribute or who can collaborate all these small sellers into existence. Now here, collaboration of small sellers can be an example wherein you will be able to identify about how the different firms or different sellers are into existence. Now, if you want to purchase a particular commodity, there are different types of vendors, there are different types of sellers who are ready to sell or purchase those commodity. Or in case, for example, a particular store which is established in a duopoly market, what this particular store can do, he can purchase from all these manufacturers. So the 5 manufacturers, the 5 retail store that are applicable for you, he can purchase 5 different commodities from the different vendor. Accordingly, one store that is a wholesale market can be established, and accordingly he can distribute it to the different customers at public at large. So just a mediator wherein it is considering a certain action about how a particular goods or commodity can be made applicable, or it can be made available to large number of people under one roof. So a market situation wherein it can be a perfect competitive market or also imperfect market condition also, wherein in a big economy like India or in particular state, the market can control the firm can rule the market economy, and accordingly they can supply the goods, services and commodity as and when the need arises. That was the consideration or the concept of duopoly or the market rule that was into existence. Now, the pricing policy under the duopoly, monopoly, oligopoly of the market situation or market consideration. Value of a product. So, whenever we are looking for a certain commodity or a certain prices, we have to always identify what is the price of the product or what is the value of that particular product that has been associated for. Now, the value of the product is always associated with the concept of material that we are using for. So, how does the price of a particular commodity is being set? The price of a particular commodity is based, or it is always set on certain factors or certain parameters. So I'll explain the value of product for you. Now for a single product to manufacture, so for manufacturing activity, what do you need to see? First thing you have to identify what is the cost of raw material, CO, cost of raw material, cost of labor, cost of finished goods, cost of warehousing, storage, cost of admin expenses and so on. So these are the different types that everyone has to consider. Now take an example that the cost of raw material is 5, labor is 0.5, finished goods is 0.5, selling and distribution warehousing is 0.5 and administration overhead is 5.5, 5, 6, 7. So here in this case the cost of the total cost of the particular commodity comes to 7. We have to add cost of selling and distribution expenses, then it becomes plus 1 and the price of the commodity is 8. Furthermore, now the particular product or commodity, it is being sold in the market constitution at rupees 10. Then what is the difference between these particular cost? The difference between these particular cost is rupees 2, and this particular rupees 2 is called as a profit for the particular seller, wholesaler, dealer and the person who is a middleman. So in this case, in a particular fashion, we have to determine what is the value of that particular product. So value of that particular product, how it has been determined based on all these factors. So all these factors has to be considered, and then we decide or then we identify what is the value for that particular product that has been created and for what price it has been offered for sell to a consumer. Next, second point we have is the analytical process. So analytical process that at each and every level, what the consumer will be able to, or what the consumer is going to pay you for a certain commodity, whether he is going to pay either for which profit percentage, which profit margin and so on. So over a period of time, analytical process has to be undertaken. That is, if the price increases, what will be the changes? If the price decreases, if the price of a raw material, now these increase and decrease can be also applicable to each and every single component also. Single component, that is change in the price of raw material, change in the price of labor cost, change in the price of industrial cost, change in the price of land, labor, capital, enterprise resources, that is factors of production cost and so on. So analytical process at each and every individual level has to be identified, and then the necessary calculations has to be undertaken. So in this case or in this particular fashion, you have to identify, you have to decide about what are the various factors of production that are into existence and what is the just a minute, I got a call. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you missed out something. Analytical process. Analytical process, we were dealing with either increase in prices or decrease in prices with respect to increase in raw material, increase in labor cost, increase in factors of production cost and so on. So what is the impact, what is the changes in the general price level of a certain commodity, wherein after considering, that is total cost, profit and the selling price that was applicable. Total cost was 8, profit was 2 and the selling price applicable was 10 rupees. So in this case, what happened? If there is a certain change in all these particular factors, that is now analytical process we are looking for. In terms of analytical process, if the raw material cost increases, if the labor cost increases, if the administration cost increases, the selling and distribution cost increases, if each and every cost starts increasing, then what happen at a several stage or every several point of time, your total cost, which is 8 rupees, it increases to 8.5. So your revised total cost will be 8.5. Now you cannot change the price of a certain commodity. It deals a certain consideration wherein if you want to increase a certain price of commodity, you have to take the necessary permissions from the government, and the price must be applicable or it must be affordable to the consumer. Why simultaneously, what do we have to see? The consumer should not switch from one product to another product. Now, considering a market situation wherein the price of the commodity has to be kept same, that is rupees 10, that is applicable. Now here, earlier the total cost applicable was 8. Now the revised total cost is rupees 8.5. Now what is the differentiation here? Here the profit margin was true. Now this is the profit or loss. Here the profit margin was 2 rupees. Now the profit margin gets reduced to 1.5. That is, your 0.5 change in the profit is been into existence because the factors of production has changed. The raw material, labor, supply cost, selling, distribution, administration cost, everything has changed over a period of time. So this is the consideration. This is the market situation wherein how a pricing policy or how a commodity price changes over a period of time, and accordingly it impacts the entire factors. Customer pay and why we ask for it. So here at every stage, what do you have to do? Hello? Any questions? Hello? Someone want to ask something? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please ask. Someone was speaking, I think. Who has unmuted? Any question? You can please ask it immediately. Otherwise, we'll move ahead. Hello? Okay. Why customer pay and why we ask for it. So here the pricing policy must also be very definite. It must be very justifiable, wherein we should be able to understand, we should be able to justify about what price the customer has to pay and whether the price is affordable for him or not. So based on all the factors of consideration that we have seen with respect to the applicability of factors of production, how they are put to use, how the product is being manufactured, what are the various costs that have been associated with the manufacturer, supplier, wholesaler, dealer, retailer, and so on, and whether the consumer will be able or affordable to pay the certain commodity for a certain price, or whether it will be not affordable for him to pay a certain price. Difference in cost and difference in price. So here, now here I'll show you portray. Total cost is 8, profit is 2, and the selling price is 10. So here in this case, in terms of the what is the difference between the cost and difference in the price. So a particular product which is offered to sell for a consumer, that particular price is called as a selling price, and the particular cost which is offered to a retailer for a selling purpose, that particular cost is called as a total cost. So this is the difference between the cost, and this is the difference between the price. Price is always paid by a consumer, whereas cost is always incurred by a manufacturer, wholesaler, supplier, distributor, retailer, and so on, the participants of the distribution chain. So any amount that is being paid by a certain participants of the distribution chain, that is, who is a mediator between the manufacturer to the consumer, that particular cost that is incurred is called as the total cost. That is, it is in simple terms, it is called as a cost. And the amount that is being paid by a customer for purchasing or for availing a certain benefit of a certain commodity, that particular price is called as a selling price. So this is the difference between the cost, and this is the difference between the price. So what does the customer do? The customer pays for both the product or both the consideration. That is, he pays for the cost also, he pays for the percentage of profit margin also. So in this case, we have to identify what consumer is paying and what manufacturer or the participants of the distribution chain they are paying. So both the particular participants of the distribution chain, he will be paying only one consideration, but the consumer has a certain participants to this product or a certain commodity, he is paying for both the factors. Now what are those particular both the factors? The first factor is the total cost, and as well as the proportion of the profit that the trader or the seller is looking forward. Okay, I'll move it. Price, what Win will pay as a whole, and pricing, why he or she will pay for it. That is subcomponent. Now here in this case, there is another concept called as pricing. So difference between price and difference between pricing. Okay, I'll show you it again. Why he or she will pay for it. Now understand or take a certain commodity. I'll portray a certain diagram. That is, for example, you want to purchase a pen. Now, whenever you want to purchase a pen, your budget is, for example, 50 rupees, and there are 3 types of products or 3 types of commodity available for you. One pen is of Parker, one pen is of Lexi, and one pen is of, I don't know, Camlin, a general normal pen of a local brand. Now here in this case, what happened? 3 different brands available for you. Now what is the constitution? The Parker pen is available for rupees 500, Lexi pen is available for rupees 20, and Camlin pen is available for rupees 50. So difference between price and pricing. Now here in this case, what each and every component is doing, the formulation or the purpose of a particular pen is what is just to write something. So anything wherever you want, that is anything you have to write on a particular paper. The purpose of this particular pen is just to write and be in a good position that a particular user can write in an effective way. The same pen which has been used, which has been purchased by Marker, will be able to write, which is used of Lexi will be able to write, and the pen purchased of Camlin are everyone able to write in very effective way. But what is the differentiation? The differentiation, that is in terms of Parker pen, the product that has been provided is of a good quality in nature. It is having good design, style, etiquettes, and so on. The pen that has been provided of Lexi is of a different category, wherein it is very simple. The plastic is also very of a bit lower quantity, of lower standards. The refill that has been provided is just one-time use, but in case of Parker, you can have a refill also, and the company can provide you a refill tank available with you. It is now this particular pen can be a one-time use, and accordingly you can throw it away. The pen that is been provided for Camlin, you have wherein an additionally ink bottle can be provided with you for this particular product, and accordingly it can be refilled as and when it is been required. And the size of this particular product is also better, and it is also increasing. So these are the various different changes between a certain product or a certain commodity. So each and every product is different from each other. So here, if a particular consumer, if a particular customer, now here at this top position, you have a certain customer. Now, if this customer is ready to identify, if he is able to identify the differentiation between this particular product or this commodity, then, and if he is ready to pay a certain price for a certain product or a commodity, then we can say that pricing policy is into existence. So a proper justification why he or she will pay for it. So what the product is providing good for you. So there are certain features applicable with this product, there are certain features applicable with this product and this product. So all the 3 products, their purpose, motive, aim is same, but they are having different goods or services features with them which has been associated. So in this case, we have to identify what is the product that has been associated for, how it is being going to be benefited to different customers, and how a product is affordable to a consumer. So based on the affordability, based on the features that you are providing, the consumer is able to purchase or sell a certain commodity. Now moving towards the objectives of pricing policy. Objectives of pricing policy. So here first objective of pricing policy is the profit maximization. So here every seller or every purchaser or every retailer, what he's looking for, he's always looking for a certain consideration wherein he wants to increase his profit maximization. So here profit maximization, wealth maximization is the first, is the basic objective of a particular firm. That is when we have understood the concept of what is meant by a firm, or what are the objectives of a firm. So traditional objective is profit maximization, and every firm is looking for how they can maximize their profits. So in order to maximize their profit, what do you have to see? That your pricing policy is very stable, it is quite adjusted, and accordingly each and every participants of the distribution chain is getting a supportive amount of profit which they are earning or which they are expecting for. Profit optimization, that is at every stage or every point of time, the profit is also stable for you. That is, it is not changing. Now there are different market constitution, different market participant, that is it may be either monopoly, duopoly, oligopoly, perfect market, imperfect market, and so on. So over a period of time, if there are a large number of sellers also, if there are a large number of buyers also, whatever there are changes in the market condition, every there what we have to see that every seller is getting a profit, every product is being sold out into the market, and accordingly ultimately the consumer is getting benefited. So the product is that is required into the market economy must be made applicable, must be made available, and accordingly everyone has to contribute for the development and growth of a market economy. Price stabilization, okay, will not be able to complete it. Okay, we'll deal with this in the next lecture. Chalo, thank you everyone for joining. See you in the next lecture at 2:15. I am sharing the link of attendance in the chat box. Students to mark their attendances.